Welcome to the new video, Old Cryptocoin, the story of the 1973 Lincoln Cent. And the 2008 D Lincoln Cent from the United States Mint is a fascinating journey through American history, coin collecting, and the small details that can turn an ordinary 1-cent coin into a valuable collectible. When people think about rare coins, they often imagine gold or silver treasures hidden away in vaults. But sometimes the most interesting stories come from the smallest coins in everyday pocket change. The Lincoln Cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, became one of the most recognizable coins in the United States. For more than a century, it has circulated through millions of hands, quietly witnessing economic changes, cultural moments, and the daily lives of ordinary Americans. Among these coins, certain years and mint marks stand out to collectors, and the 1973 Lincoln Cent and the 2008 D Lincoln Cent are two examples that continue to attract attention from coin enthusiasts around the world. To understand the importance of the 1973 Lincoln Cent, we first need to look at the history of the Lincoln penny itself. The design of the coin was created by the sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose portrait of Abraham Lincoln became the first real person ever depicted on a circulating United States coin. Prior to 1909, American coins usually featured symbolic figures like Lady Liberty rather than actual historical figures. The introduction of Lincoln's portrait marked a significant shift in American coin design and quickly became beloved by the public. The reverse side of the original coin featured two wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent, which is why collectors often call those early pennies wheat cents. Over the decades, the design evolved, and by the time the 1973 Lincoln Cent was produced, the reverse had already been changed to the Lincoln Memorial design, which had been introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The 1973 Lincoln Cent was minted during a period when the United States economy was experiencing significant changes. The early 1970s were marked by inflation, energy crises, and shifting global financial systems. Yet despite these challenges, billions of pennies were still being produced every year because they were essential for everyday commerce. In 1973, the United States Mint produced Lincoln Cents at several mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Coins minted in Philadelphia typically carried no mint mark during that period, while coins from Denver carried the small letter D beneath the date. These tiny mint marks might seem insignificant to casual observers, but for collectors they are extremely important because they identify where the coin was produced. The 1973 Lincoln Cent was made primarily from a bronze composition consisting of about 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. This composition had been used for decades and gave the coin its familiar reddish-brown appearance when new. Over time, as coins circulated through everyday use, they gradually darkened and developed the brown patina that collectors often see today. However, coins that remain in mint condition, sometimes called red cents because they retain their original copper color, can be much more valuable. The difference between a worn brown penny and a bright red uncirculated coin can mean the difference between a value of 1 cent and several dollars, or even more if the coin is graded at a high level by professional grading services. Another reason collectors pay attention to the 1973 Lincoln Cent is the possibility of mint errors. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes occur, creating unusual coins that can be worth far more than their face value. Examples include off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on incorrect planchets. While most 1973 pennies are common, collectors are always searching through rolls of old coins hoping to find one of these rare error varieties. The excitement of discovering a valuable coin in ordinary change is one of the reasons coin collecting remains such a popular hobby around the world. Now, let's move forward several decades to another interesting coin, the 2008 D Lincoln Cent. By 2008, the Lincoln penny had already been part of American currency for nearly a century, and its design had become deeply connected to the nation's identity. The coin still featured the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, but the reverse continued to show the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., a design that had been used since 1959. This particular coin carries the D mint mark, indicating it was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the major coin-producing facilities in the United States. The year 2008 was significant because it marked the final year before a major redesign of the Lincoln Cent. In 2009, To celebrate the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the United States Mint introduced a special series of 4 reverse designs representing different stages of Lincoln's life. Because of this upcoming change, many collectors view 2008 coins as the last representatives of the long-running Lincoln Memorial design. This gives the 2008 D. Lincoln cent a special place in the timeline of American coinage. Unlike the 1973 penny, which was made of bronze, the 2008 D. Lincoln cent was produced using a different metal composition. Since 1982, most Lincoln cents have been made from a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. This change was introduced because the rising price of copper made it too expensive to produce pennies using the older bronze formula. As a result, modern pennies are lighter and slightly different in color compared with older copper-based coins. Although this change was mainly economic, it also created an interesting divide in the collecting world between pre-1982 copper cents and modern zinc cents. For collectors, the condition of a 2008 D. Lincoln cent can also influence its value. Most of these coins were heavily circulated, meaning they show wear from everyday use. However, coins that remain in uncirculated condition with strong luster and sharp details can be worth more, especially if they receive a high grade from professional grading companies. Some collectors also search for varieties or minting errors in modern coins, such as die cracks, double letters, or unusual strike patterns. Although these errors are relatively rare, they add excitement to the hobby because they prove that even modern coins can contain surprises. Another interesting aspect of the Lincoln cent series is how it connects different generations of Americans. A 1973 penny might have passed to the hands of someone buying groceries during the economic turbulence of the 1970s, while a 2008 D penny may have circulated during the global financial crisis of the late 2000s. These coins are small pieces of history that reflect the eras in which they were created. For collectors, holding these coins can feel like holding a tiny time capsule that carries stories from the past. Coin collecting, often called numismatics, is more than just gathering old money. It is a way to explore art, history, economics, and even technology. Each coin represents a moment in time, from the design chosen by artists to the metal composition determined by economic conditions. The 1973 Lincoln cent and the 2008 D. Lincoln cent illustrate how the same basic coin design can evolve across decades while still maintaining a connection to its original inspiration. The portrait of Abraham Lincoln continues to remind Americans. Step 1, the story of the 1973 D. Liberty 1 cent begins during a fascinating period in American coinage history. In the early 1970s, the United States economy was changing rapidly. Inflation was rising, and everyday coins were becoming an even more important part of daily transactions. Among these coins, the Lincoln cent, often referred to by collectors as the Liberty 1 cent because of the word Liberty engraved on the front, remain one of the most recognizable and widely used coins in the country. The 1973 D. Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse side. While millions of these coins were produced and circulated widely across the nation, the coin still carries a deep historical connection to American heritage, design artistry, and the story of Abraham Lincoln himself. For collectors and history lovers alike, the 1973 D penny represents a small but meaningful piece of the economic and cultural story of the United States. To understand the importance of the 1973 D Liberty 1 cent, it is helpful to look back at the origin of the Lincoln cent design. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln. Before that time, U.S. coins generally featured symbolic figures like Lady Liberty rather than real people. The introduction of Lincoln's portrait marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular circulating American coin. The design was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials VB originally appeared on the reverse of the coin. Although those initials caused controversy when the coin first appeared, Brenner's design eventually became one of the longest-running and most beloved designs in American coin history. The obverse side of the 1973 D. Lincoln cent features the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above his head appears the motto, "In God We Trust," which reflects the nation's religious heritage and faith traditions. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word liberty, symbolizing the fundamental principle upon which the United States was founded. Just to the right of Lincoln's shoulder is the year 1973, with a small D mint mark directly beneath the date, showing that the coin was struck in Denver. The simplicity of the design makes the coin easy to recognize, yet the portrait of Lincoln remains powerful and dignified, reminding Americans of one of the nation's most respected leaders. On the reverse side of the 1973 D penny is the classic wheat-free design known as the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. This design was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, replacing the earlier wheat ears design that had appeared on pennies since 1909. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse was designed by Frank Gasparro, the chief engraver of the United States Mint at the time. At the top of the coin appears the inscription, United States of America, while the words E Pluribus Unum are written just above the memorial building. At the bottom of the coin appears the denomination 1 cent. If you look closely at the center of the Lincoln Memorial, you can even see a tiny representation of the Lincoln statue sitting inside the monument, making this design especially detailed and impressive for such a small coin. The 1973 D Lincoln cent was produced in large quantities because pennies were needed heavily in daily commerce during that time. The Denver Mint struck more than 4 billion Lincoln cents in 1973 alone. This enormous production number means that most examples of the 1973 D penny are still relatively common today. Many were used in everyday purchases, passing through countless hands in grocery stores, gas stations, and businesses across the United States. However, even though the coin is common in circulated condition, collectors often search for well-preserved examples that still display their original luster and sharp design details. The composition of the 1973 D Lincoln cent is another interesting feature for collectors. During this period, the penny was made primarily of copper. Specifically, the coin contained about 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin combined. This composition gives the coin its distinctive reddish color when freshly minted. Over time, exposure to air, moisture, and handling can cause the copper surface to darken, turning the coin a brown or chocolate color. Some coins show a mix of red and brown tones, and collectors often categorize them using the designations red, red-brown, and brown. Coins that retain their full red color from the mint are often considered more desirable and can be worth more to collectors. Another factor that makes the 1973 D penny interesting to collectors is the possibility of minting errors. Coin production in the early 1970s involved high-speed machinery, and occasionally mistakes occurred during the striking process. Some collectors search for double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or other unusual mint errors on 1973 D pennies. These rare variations can make an otherwise ordinary coin extremely valuable. While most 1973 D cents are worth only a small premium over face value, certain error coins have sold for significantly higher prices among collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents. When examining a 1973 D Lincoln cent, collectors usually pay close attention to the condition of the coin. Coin grading is an important part of numismatics, and the value of a coin often depends heavily on how well preserved it is. Coins that have circulated heavily may show worn details on Lincoln's hair, the lettering, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. On the other hand, coins that were never used in circulation may still display their original mint shine and sharp edges. Professional grading services use a scale from poor to mint state to evaluate coins. A 1973 D penny in mint state condition with bright red color can be far more appealing to collectors than a heavily circulated example. The Denver Mint itself plays an important role in the story of the 1973 D penny. The mint facility in Denver, Colorado, has been producing coins for the United States since 1906. Originally established to process gold and silver from the Rocky Mountains, the Denver Mint eventually became one of the primary coin-producing facilities in the country. The small D mint mark on the 1973 penny proudly indicates its origin at this historic mint. Over the decades, the Denver Mint has produced billions of coins for circulation, and the 1973 D Lincoln cent is one of many coins that came from its presses. Many coin collectors enjoy searching through rolls of pennies looking for interesting dates like the 1973 D. This activity, often called coin roll hunting, allows collectors to examine large numbers of coins in hopes of finding higher-grade examples, error coins, or coins with unusual toning. Even though the 1973 D penny is common, it can still be exciting to discover one in beautiful condition or with a unique minting characteristic. For beginners, Lincoln cents are often the starting point of a coin collection because they are affordable, widely available, and rich in historical significance. Over the years, the Lincoln cent design has remained remarkably consistent, making coins like the 1973 D part of a long and continuous tradition in American coinage. Generations of Americans have carried Lincoln pennies in their pockets, dropped them into piggy banks, and used them for everyday purchase. Stay Plas's the story of the 2008 D Liberty 1 cent coin begins with a long and fascinating history of the United States 1 cent piece, a small coin that has carried enormous cultural and historical meaning for more than a century. When collectors talk about the 2008 D cent, they are really talking about a continuation of one of the most famous coins ever produced in America, the Lincoln cent. The coin features a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, whose image has appeared on the 1 cent coin since 1909. The introduction of Lincoln on the penny was originally done to celebrate the 100th anniversary of his birth, and the design was created by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner. Over the decades, the design remained largely the same, making the Lincoln cent one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. By the time the year 2008 arrived, the coin had already become a familiar part of everyday life for millions of Americans, and the Denver Minute version known as the 2008 D Lincoln cent continued this long tradition. The 2008 D Liberty 1 cent coin was produced at the historic United States Mint facility in Denver, Colorado. The mint mark D visible on the coin indicates that it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major minting facilities responsible for producing circulating coins for the nation. By 2008, the United States Mint had already modernized their production processes, allowing billions of coins to be manufactured every year to meet the demands of commerce. The 2008 D cent was made primarily from a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper, a composition that had been used since 1982 in order to reduce the cost of production. Earlier pennies were made mostly of copper, but rising metal prices forced the mint to change the composition so that the coin would cost less to produce. On the obverse side of the 2008 D cent, collectors see the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above the portrait appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," while the word liberty appears to the left side of the president's image. The year 2008 appears to the right along with the mint mark D. The design is simple yet powerful, capturing Lincoln's thoughtful expression and the dignity associated with his legacy. Lincoln is remembered for leading the nation through the difficult years of the American Civil War and for issuing the Emancipation Proclamation that helped bring an end to slavery. Because of his leadership and moral courage, Lincoln became one of the most respected figures in American history, and his presence on the penny serves as a daily reminder of the values of unity, freedom, and perseverance. The reverse side of the 2008 D Lincoln cent features the well-known Lincoln Memorial design, which had been used on pennies since 1959. This design was created by Frank Gasparo, who served as chief engraver of the United States Mint. The reverse shows the impressive Lincoln Memorial located in Washington, D.C., a monument built to honor Abraham Lincoln and his legacy. In the design, the memorial appears with detailed columns and steps, and if one looks closely at the center of the structure, a tiny statue of Lincoln can actually be seen inside. This remarkable detail is one of the reasons collectors admire the Lincoln Memorial reverse so much. Above the memorial are the words United States of America and the motto E Pluribus Unum, while the denomination 1 cent appears at the bottom. The year 2008 was also an interesting moment in the history of the Lincoln cent because it came just 1 year before the famous redesign of the penny in 2009. In 2009, the United States Mint celebrated the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent by releasing 4 special reverse designs that illustrated different stages of Lincoln's life. Because of this, the 2008 D Lincoln cent represents the final year of the traditional Lincoln Memorial reverse before the commemorative redesigns of 2009. Many collectors view the 2008 penny as the closing chapter of a 50-year design era that began in 1959. In terms of production numbers, the 2008 D. Lincoln cent was minted in very large quantities. The Denver Mint produced more than 2 billion of these coins, ensuring that they circulated widely throughout the United States. Although the coin is common in circulation, collectors still search for high-grade examples and coins with special characteristics. Coins that remain in uncirculated condition, meaning they have never been used in everyday transactions, can sometimes command higher values in the coin collecting market. These pristine coins often display bright luster, sharp details, and minimal marks from handling. One of the reasons collectors enjoy searching through rolls of pennies is the possibility of finding error coins or varieties. Even a common coin like the 2008 D. Lincoln cent can become valuable if it contains a minting error. Errors can occur during different stages of the minting process and may include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, or unusual planchet defects. When such mistakes occur, the coins can become rare collectibles because they are produced unintentionally and often in limited numbers. Some collectors dedicate years to searching for unusual varieties of modern coins like the 2008 D cent. Another interesting aspect of the 2008 D. Lincoln cent is its role in the broader culture of coin collecting, a hobby known as numismatics. Numismatics involves studying coins, currency, and metals not only for their monetary value, but also for their historical significance. Through coins like the 2008 D cent, collectors can explore stories about American history, politics, art, and economics. Each coin acts like a tiny historical document that reflects the time in which it was created. Although the penny is the smallest denomination in United States currency, it has had a surprisingly large impact on American culture. For generations of Americans, pennies have been used in everyday transactions, saved in jars, collected in albums, and even used in childhood games. The Lincoln cent in particular has become a symbol of humility and persistence, reflecting Abraham Lincoln's own rise from humble beginnings to the presidency. Because of this symbolism, the penny continues to hold emotional value for many people even though its purchasing power has decreased over time. From a technical standpoint, the 2008 D. Lincoln cent weighs approximately 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. The coin's edge is plain, unlike coins such as quarters or dimes which have reeded edges. Despite its small size, the coin must be struck with great precision to ensure that all details appear clearly. The mint uses powerful presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, demonstrating the remarkable efficiency of modern minting technology. Collectors often grade coins based on their condition, using a scale developed by the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company.